the show where the cash doesn't stop until you belly flop. It's the quiz with
the biggest hit songs and the largest cash prize. Can you beat Shazam? All new tomorrow on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
Welcome in, everyone. My name is Jack Webb. Beth Jones is out tonight, so let the sports guy anchor pray for me. Hamden and Herman fire departments responded to a Newburgh couple's camper that caught fire heading north on I-95. The couple's camper burned at a rest stop in Hamden. Hamden Deputy Fire Chief Jason Lundstrom says the couple was heading to northern Maine on I-95 when they smelled burning from inside the camper. He says the owners pulled into the rest area at a mile marker 175, where they and their pets were able to escape the burning vehicle. Emergency crews responded to the scene and put out the fire with no injuries or further damage to the rest stop. Chief Lundstrom says that there is not yet a definitive cause of the fire, but they are investigating the camper's utilities.
We believe some kind of a mechanical failure. We were working with the owners of that vehicle to kind of determine that. It's a little early to tell now, but they suspect that it was a mechanical malfunction, possibly with a refrigerator.
The rest stop was reopened for traffic shortly after the fire was put out. Lundstrom says that if any driver finds themselves in a similar situation, they should do the same as these owners. When something is not right, pull over immediately and check it out before continuing. Police are investigating a fatal crash in Hancock County. State Police spokesperson Shannon Moss says it happened just before 7 Sunday night at the intersection of Route 1 and Old Route 1 in Gouldsboro. According to Moss, the initial investigation indicates 46-year-old Courtney Washington of Bangor was driving northbound on Old Route 1 when she failed to stop for a stop sign. Moss says her vehicle struck a Trailblazer driven by 39-year-old Heather Allen of Ellsworth, who was traveling eastbound. She says the impact caused Allen's vehicle to spin into the westbound lane of Route 1, where it was struck by another car. Moss says that caused Allen's vehicle to roll over. Allen died at the scene. A passenger in her vehicle was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Washington sustained minor injuries and was taken to the hospital. The driver of the other car was also taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The investigation is ongoing. Brewer police are asking the public to review camera footage after multiple vehicle burglaries across the city. Over the weekend, police responded to several complaints regarding vehicle burglaries on Chamberlain and Brimmer streets. No suspects have been identified, but police say they are following up on a couple of leads. Brewer Police Captain Zachary Karen says nearly every vehicle that was burglarized was unlocked, and he is urging the public to err on the side of caution.
It's good to get into a good habit of right before you go to bed, hit the lock button on your key fob, make sure your vehicle's locked, and try to think, did I leave anything valuable in my car that might be of interest to someone that wants to do crime.
The investigation of the burglaries remain ongoing. That is not a word I'm sure I'm ever going to get down. Amid the celebration of the Lobster Festival, Rockland police responded to 10 car crashes on Saturday, with one involving a motorcyclist that sustained serious injuries. Around 5:30 p.m., police responded to Park Street, where a 20-year-old motorcyclist collided with a car. The cyclist was not wearing a helmet and was taken to Maine Health Penn Bay Hospital for potential life-threatening injuries. Due to the extent of the injuries, the Knox County District Attorney was notified, and a crash reconstructionist from the Maine State Police was notified. Rockland Police Deputy Chief Alex Gaylor says no criminal charges have been filed, but believes speed and attention to be factors.
The investigation's ongoing. We are working with the District Attorney's Office to make sure that any questions they have are answered. But at this time, no, we're still waiting on crash reconstruction and whatnot to have a final determination on if there are any charges.
Police are reminding drivers to slow down and remain attentive while behind the wheel. We'll have more information later this week. Washington County's leadership is facing renewed instability. This comes after the ousted county manager leveled a wrongful termination lawsuit against 2 commissioners. Our Grace Blanchard has details.
Turmoil strikes Washington County once again as county leadership face a legal battle. County Manager Renee Gray filed a suit last month against Commissioners David Burns and William Howard, alleging wrongful firing.
Having personality differences is not a legal cause to terminate a county manager.
The court issued a temporary restraining order reversing the termination. Gray was placed on paid leave. The complaint alleges the defendants violated state law by not offering a written explanation of cause or giving Gray an opportunity for public hearing, among other violations.
County managers are supposed to stay while the politics of the day come and go. That's the reason why they have certain legal protections that you can't do away with in a contract.
Burns and Howard voted to fire Gray on July 2nd, much to the surprise of Commissioner Courtney Hammond, who says he was blindsided by the move.
I've always supported Renee. I've gotten along well with Renee. I have no issues with her performance in the past.
Hammond said Gray was instrumental in addressing the county's recent fiscal challenges.
I'm worried for the county as to what's going to happen with this moving forward. We had worked really hard to get regain the public's trust after the fiscal crisis, and then here we are again in another situation, so to speak.
The case has been moved to federal court. Hammond said his goal is ensuring the legal battle does not disrupt the upcoming budget process.
I'm going to work as hard as I can, to try to make sure that we continue to move forward with the statutory budget process.
We have not received a response from Commissioner Burns or Howard. While the temporary restraining order will remain in place pending a hearing that is yet to be scheduled, Gray remains on paid leave. In Machias, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Thank you, Grace, for a very detailed story. As always, the Maine Department of Transportation is going to temporarily close a busy ramp on the Interstate 95 in the Bangor-Hamden area. They'll be closing the on-ramp from northbound Route 202 to westbound 1395 on August 12th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for bridge rail work. Drivers heading northbound on Route 202 towards I-395 should use exit 3B on I-395 onto Main Street in Bangor and take the next ramp to get onto I-395 westbound. MainDOT says message boards are in place advising of the upcoming closure, and there are detour signs along the route. Starting today, you can request an absentee ballot for the November election. You can use their online service to request your absentee ballot electronically. The ballot will be sent to you through the Postal Service and must be returned to your municipal clerk by 8 p.m. on Election Day. New this year, any voter other than an uninformed service or overseas voter can apply for an ongoing absentee voter status. A voter that qualifies will automatically get an absentee ballot for each statewide election, municipal election, and any other election for which the person is eligible to vote and need not submit a request for each election. Once a ballot request is submitted, Maine voters can track the process of that request and their ballot online. A concert will be held in Bangor's Chapin Park Tuesday night, and it's completely free to the public. The Bangor Band, in collaboration with the Thomas School of Dance, is hosting a free community concert in Chapin Park. The concert will begin at 6:30 tomorrow night, and along with the music there will be a performance by the Thomas School of Dance. Bangor band member Adina Semholzen says that live music is more than just entertainment. It's a chance to build community and relive some stress.
When you are sitting at a live concert surrounded by your neighbors in lawn chairs with a picnic, it's a happening. It's something that raises your spirits, and whatever you have going on in your life that maybe isn't the best, you can shed that for an hour.
Tuesday's concert is a part of the Bangor Band's yearly summer concert series, where the band plays at various parks across the greater Bangor area, all at no cost to the audience. The band says tomorrow's performance is specifically catered towards a younger audience. Along with their usual marches, the band will play songs from Moana and Wicked and encourages Bangor's youth to come experience live music. The Bangor Band will hold its final summer series concert on Tuesday, August 11th at VZ Community School. And that is relieve some stress, not relive. No one, of course, wants to relive any stress. Let's turn things over to Chase with a first look at our forecast.
Thank you very much. Our first weather tonight is brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. All right, with lots of cloud cover out there for today, temperatures only held in the low to mid 70s with on and off showers and thunderstorms. Those are coming to an end tonight and will be much warmer tomorrow, but there was a few 80s out there. Freiburg at 81 for today, while some of us stayed in the 60s, right at 69 degrees, and Machias for you out there this afternoon. So for tonight, once we get past midnight, much of the showers are going to be done with. We'll see some decreasing cloud cover, pretty clear skies for tonight with some wind out there, but plenty of sunshine into tomorrow morning here 7 a.m., and that continues to stay that way throughout your Tuesday afternoon into your Wednesday as well, with temperatures warming up as well. We could see some 80s back after being in the low to mid 70s for today. So winds out there still going to be ripping tonight, especially further north, closer to the center of the low. But tomorrow afternoon, we'll have some west winds gusting near 25, 30 miles per hour before they begin to lighten up into tomorrow evening and staying light into your Wednesday. So out there for tonight, a few lingering showers to our north, otherwise decreasing clouds, still a little breezy with lows in the low to mid 60s.
We will have more of your news after the break.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
You're driving down the road and out of nowhere, boom! You're hurt in a car accident. When you call the twos, all you have to do is get better while I work to get you paid. I'm your go-to guy.
Call 222-2222.
Lights, camera, cheese! The Cheese House is looking for its next star, and it could be you. If you're 21 or older, enter for your chance to appear in the next commercial. Stop by the Cheese House at 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield to enter. While you're there, browse their huge selection of glassware and 420 specialty foods. But we have the cheese! Remember, entries are happening in person at the Cheese House, 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield. Bring your personality, bring your smile, and we have the cheese.
A homeowner asks, my basement only leaks every few years. Do I need to fix it? Yes. Basements are dry most of the time, but to use the basement, you need it dry all the time, even during storms. Moisture could weaken your foundation, ruin belongings, and create an environment where mold thrives. But our system can keep your basement dry all the time. Call us today for all things basementy.
Something stinks.
My food is good.
Are you delusional?
No, are you?
I don't want to give up. I'm here to help. We're going to start again, and we're going to rebuild this thing.
Kitchen Nightmares, all new Tuesdays on Fox, anytime on Hulu.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
For years, many Maine ambulance services relied on local hospitals to supply important medications. But now confusion over a 2017 federal rule is forcing them to buy, store, and manage those drugs on their own, and they say that's adding thousands of dollars in new costs. The law passed in 2017, but the implementation of it was delayed because of COVID. Now that it's taking effect, some EMS agencies are scrambling to adapt as Maine's congressional delegation pushes for answers. Max Williams has the details.
When you need to be rushed to the hospital, life-saving medication is often at paramedics' fingertips.
We gave 272 controlled substances dosage last year.
Lieutenant Ben Guild, who oversees EMS for South Portland Fire, says controlled substances like ketamine or fentanyl are most commonly used for pain relief. For years, those medications were supplied by hospitals. That was before the rule change.
We're maintaining it, we're keeping account of it, and the hospitals are kind of out of the play, if you will. They're out of question.
The DEA is now implementing a rule requiring controlled substances to be delivered to a registered EMS agency or hospital. Under the rule, hospitals can only distribute those medications to EMS agencies operating under the hospital's DEA registration. Some Maine hospitals now believe they can no longer supply independent EMS agencies. The DEA, however, says the registration is not a requirement and does not replace any previous compliant arrangements to provide patient care and emergency services to the public.
It allows us, the department, to purchase our medications how we want them.
The conflicting interpretations have put stress of making sure they are fully stocked with meds on EMS agencies like South Portland.
Same thing with the room itself. There's a key code.
A secured, roughly $20,000 controlled substance vending machine is now the newest addition to the department.
This is going to ambulance 43, and then it opens up, and then it allows you to withdraw. This is the narcotics kit itself. So here's our fentanyl, our Versed, and our ketamine.
It may look easy now, but Lieutenant Giles says getting here took time.
This, unfortunately, has been a lot of my life for the last few months.
And some extra money in medication expenses.
And I can see how a smaller service may have some challenges with this because they may not have the funds that we do.
Those concerns have now reached Maine's congressional delegation. In a letter to the DEA, lawmakers say the current confusion is creating what they call a crippling operational and financial burden for EMS agencies and are urging the agency to issue clarifying guidance.
We will have more for you after the break.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
We've got a 100-year-old company here, and it's because of the service, the quality, and the experience. It gets done right.
I think we've been doing it for so long. The only thing that we do, that when we walk into a room, we automatically know how to treat that window. We can take any product that the customer's looking for and make it work in just about any situation that they present us with. So
there's no reason to be overwhelmed. No. We can help you through it.
We're not going anywhere. We've been around for 100 years.
I got hurt by a big truck. Why did I call the twos? Because life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. We got a client who broke multiple bones in a commercial vehicle accident, $700,000. Call the twos. We win for you.
Susan Collins broke her promise to protect Roe v. Wade. When Donald Trump called, she cast the deciding vote for his Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade. And she voted to put more than 100 Trump judges on the bench. States are banning abortion without exceptions, and women are dying. But Susan Collins says,
I do not regret that vote.
Tell Susan Collins to stop breaking her word. Stop voting for Trump's anti-choice judges.
Here we go. Jamie Foxx and Beat Shazam are back.
The money is stacking up. $1 million.
Can you
beat Shazam?
Hit it, hit it, hit it. Beat Shazam, all new Tuesdays on Fox, anytime on Hulu.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back in. There may be a procedural vote in the Senate on bipartisan agreement to avoid a federal government shutdown this fall. The action comes as senators are getting ready for their summer vacation. Fox News chief congressional correspondent Chad Pergram reports from Capitol Hill.
It may be summer, but fall is consuming the United States Senate.
The fiscal year begins October 1st each year. That resolution keeps the government open for business.
Bipartisan senators are trying to duck yet another protracted government shutdown odyssey like last year.
I look forward to passing this bill in the next few days.
Democratic buy-in is paramount to secure 60 votes and break a filibuster.
We want to fund the government, avoid a shutdown, and pass strong bipartisan appropriations bills that deliver for the American people.
The temporary plan keeps the lights on until December 4th, after the midterms. The Senate is also trying to approve the bill named after late GOP South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham to sanction Russia. President Trump is demanding that the Senate cancel its summer recess to adopt the Save America Act.
I think there's nothing more important than the Save America Act. I think they should stay.
But Thune is rebuffing the president's demands.
I don't think, having a Congress and Senate sitting around here for the month of August in quorum calls or having to vote on Democrat amendments is probably a good use of anybody's time.
However, it's about the math. The Senate twice blocked earlier efforts to pass the bill.
I know Senator Thune says the votes aren't there. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying people change their mind sometimes.
There's concern that tethering vulnerable GOP senators to Washington could backfire when they need to campaign.
The worst case scenario is for us to be able to stay all the way through, and then we lose the Senate.
The Senate cleared a test vote on the interim spending bill. The House must align with the Senate in September. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
President Trump says he wants justice to be done for alleged vandalism of the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, even after his own Justice Department blamed damage on shoddy work by a contractor. Fox News correspondent Caroline Elliott has a story.
Just when you thought the reflecting pool drama was over, it's not.
Jeanine Pirro made a mistake. There was vandalism.
President Trump is now taking the fight to an entirely different level and reportedly looking to possibly fire the United States attorney who dropped the case.
Really disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. She folded like an umbrella. I guess she choked. I don't know what the hell happened.
President Trump said vandals caused major damage to the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, claiming the gashes in the lining were 300 yards long. Just last month, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, had this to say about the case.
I didn't charge anything harshly. I charge according to the evidence.
But on Friday, Pirro filed to drop it, blaming the damage on the, quote, flawed installation by the contractor.
Prosecutors jeopardize their law licenses when they go into court trying to argue cases that are not based in reality or fact or aren't supported by the law. And this became a serious, quite literally, legal ethics question for the Justice Department.
And according to the Wall Street Journal, lawyers for David Hearn, the man previously charged in this case, say the fight is far from over, and their team is looking at several legal options, including a civil lawsuit against the government. At New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's path to losing the word acting before his title might be much easier this morning after he ended the nearly $1.8 billion weaponization fund. Fox News correspondent David Spunt has more from Washington.
The confirmation for Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche became much more likely late Sunday night when he formally put in writing that the controversial weaponization fund is dead and will stay dead. The fund would have used almost $1.8 billion in taxpayer money to compensate people who believe they were victims of government weaponization. It was part of a deal in exchange for President Trump dropping his lawsuit over leaked tax returns, prompting criticism from both sides of the aisle.
This is insane. The idea that the president wants a fund that he controls so he can give money to insurrectionists.
And don't look at it, but I'm not going to give him a blank check.
Late Sunday, Blanche posted of the fund, quote, "No funds were transferred, no process for receiving claims was established, no claims were paid." Republican Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis wanted this in writing before they supported Blanche's nomination. They now have it in writing. President Trump, however, is threatening to resurrect the fund if Blanche is not confirmed by the Senate.
If they don't approve Todd, I put it back on the table. A lot of people like it. A lot of big supporters of Trump like it.
But Cornyn and Tillis also wanted assurances on another part of that settlement, which shields Trump and members of his family from IRS audits or penalties. Blanche's memo briefly touches on that and uses the word retroactively. The Senate Judiciary Committee will vote on Blanche's nomination on Tuesday. If it passes, the full Senate will hold a final vote later this week. In Washington, David Spunt, Fox News.
Despite Iran's denials, President Trump insists new talks are underway to end the war. It comes after he called off a major attack over the weekend, but not all Republicans or even the president himself are convinced diplomacy is going to work. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor explains.
Less than 24 hours after calling off a massive attack on Iran, President Trump is calling out Iranian leaders for denying new peace talks are happening.
They'll sometimes deny it, even though they spend hours and hours together talking. No, The talks are going along.
Publicly, Iran says it's only negotiating with Oman on the Strait of Hormuz, prompting this post from the president earlier. Iranian leadership is unbelievably duplicitous. Whether Iran wants to admit it or not, we are in fact talking of a solution to a problem that they have caused for decades.
I want to give them every last chance before decapitation.
Do I believe it's going to work? Probably not.
Many Republicans are skeptical of giving diplomacy yet another chance and would rather see the U.S. military finish the job.
One does not make peace with one's enemy. One makes peace with one's defeated enemy. And given their posture and their attitudes and even denying that negotiations are happening, we ought to turn loose the greatest military in the world.
Captain, you are requested to alter course to 190. If you do not comply, we will compel compliance with force.
Meanwhile, U.S. forces continue to block commercial ships from Iran's ports and have turned around 44 since reinstating the naval blockade in July. It's another form of pressure on the regime, but military analysts agree it's only a matter of time before the fighting resumes.
I think that's a foregone conclusion. There will be more strikes.
The markets like the prospect of peace, though, with stocks soaring and oil prices falling Monday. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
We will have more news and your weather soon coming up here at 10.
Welcome to the show that nobody wants to win.
What did the itsy bitsy spider climb up?
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are in Maine.
Warning, entering keepsakes may cause extreme creativity. From gorgeous fabrics and cozy yarn to gifts you didn't know you needed, we've got it all. Dive into quilting, grab a sewing machine, or join a class and unleash your inner artist. Stick around for our mystery quilt projects if you love a good surprise. And yes, we have a fudge counter because crafting burns calories, right? Keepsakes, where your hobbies and your sweet tooth live happily ever after.
On the pavement, Sunday, October 4th at the Sea Dog on the Bangor waterfront. Register now at purpleirisfoundation.com or scan the QR code. Start a fundraiser, win prizes. Sign up by September 1st and get a free t-shirt. Goodie bags for the first 200 people to register. Cancer survivors sign up for free. Proceeds support those battling cancer in Maine. Pound the Pavement, sponsored by the Sea Dog, Summit America, Peter and Deb Brontis, Eventful Maine, ABC7, and Fox 22.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Cuba is recovering from the 6th island-wide blackout that the country has faced this year. The state-run electric company announced a total blackout Sunday night. Power outages were reported across western Cuba, including the cities of Matanza and Havana. Some electricity was restored in Havana today, but other parts of the country were still without power as temperatures hit 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Some locals opted to sleep outside. One family said they chose to sleep on the famous seawall in Havana to stay cool. Cuba has been dealing with fuel shortages since January, when President Trump threatened tariffs on any country that sells or provides oil to the island. A major wildfire spreading through part of the Netherlands. Firefighters are battling the fire that started in a forest 100 miles southeast of Amsterdam. Dry and hot conditions are fueling the flames. Video shows thick plumes of smoke rising above the forest. 2 Chinook helicopters with large water containers were sent by the Dutch Air Force to try to handle the blaze. The national railway operator suspended services between Vernay and Horst Savin. Nearby roads were closed, several campgrounds were evacuated, and people are urged to stay away. As multiple wildfires burn in Washington state, Governor Bob Ferguson said he spoke with FEMA, and the agency is moving resources into the state to assist with the search and rescue, debris removal, medical supplies, temporary sheltering, and emergency power. The Red Cross is also on the ground providing support, and evacuation centers fill up quickly. Fox News multimedia reporter Sarah Allegri has more details.
That's a war zone. When you finally get in there and you finally look at the devastation.
3 wildfires are raging in Washington state. As of Monday, the fires have burned more than 8,000 acres and remains at 0% containment. Fire officials are saying their main focus continues to be suppression and protecting as many lives and properties as possible.
There are multiple crews in neighborhoods today that are going house by house, structure by structure, and putting on a virtual map indicating where the burned homes are, where the losses are. It's going to take a few days to get solid numbers.
The flames are tearing through neighborhoods and destroying dense forest areas, creating severely poor air quality. And conditions are expected to get worse as winds pick up to over 35 miles an hour.
These wildfires are very unpredictable. We don't know where they're going to go next. We don't know if things are going to restart if they're a hot spot. It is very dangerous.
So far, the fires have forced about 67,000 people from their homes and more than 700 structures have burned. This resident was one of the lucky ones.
We're so blessed that we got out. We're so blessed that we're all healthy, intact. And now we find just an amazing blessing that our house is completely untouched.
Officials say roughly 900 firefighters are battling the blazes, including some from outside the state. The National Guard has also been deployed. Now, the cause of this fire is still under investigation. In Spokane, Washington, Sarah Allegri, Fox News.
Very scary scenes there. The nationwide outbreak of cyclospora now being blamed for at least 2 deaths. While the illness is typically not fatal, health officials say a pair of compromised individuals got even sicker after coming down with the foodborne parasite. Fox News correspondent Caroline Elliott has more.
The infamous explosive diarrhea parasite has now turned deadly in Michigan after the state reported the first 2 deaths linked to the outbreak.
There are hospitalizations, and definitely the immunocompromised or individuals that have some really bad reactions to that.
According to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, both patients had, quote, significant underlying health conditions and died after getting the foodborne illness.
When someone is ill, they should, after a couple of days of experiencing, the watery diarrhea, and if it doesn't go away, they should definitely seek medical attention.
Michigan is the hardest hit among the 45 states reporting cases, with more than 11,000 total, and as of late July, nearly 200 hospitalizations. Federal health officials linked the outbreak to lettuce imported from Mexico that served at Taco Bell locations around the country. And since then, some producers have seen more consumers buying local.
People have really come out of the woodwork and want to know where their food is coming from.
And Michigan health officials won't be releasing any more information publicly on the 2 fatal cases, but added that death from the parasite is highly uncommon in the U.S. And New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
Deadly explosive diarrhea sounds like a nightmare. NASA SpaceX Crew 13 members discussing their training and mission preparations. The crew is expected to launch on a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft on the company's Falcon 9 rocket heading to the International Space Station. They will lift off from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in mid-September at the earliest. The crew says they are excited and thankful for the opportunity. They will participate in a number of science experiments, potential spacewalks, and station maintenance.
I personally am looking forward to returning to the ISS as well as flying on Dragon a second time, and really looking forward to experiencing those experiences through the eyes of my crewmates. We will be joining Expedition 75, already in progress on board the International Space Station.
We'll be looking to help characterize some blood flow in a microgravity environment, also fluid shift and how that impacts vision. We'll have those studies going on. And outside of that, we'll be looking to characterize stem cells, so some stem cell growth
That presser marks the crew's final media availability before heading to Kennedy Space Center in Florida for their launch. Spider-Man Brand New Day has a record-breaking opening weekend. Fox Business Network's Taylor Riggs has a look at the story and more in today's Fox Means Business.
Markets rallying higher for your Monday. All three major indices green across the board, with the Dow scoring its 22nd record close of the year. Spider-Man Brand New Day landed the biggest opening weekend ever for Sony Pictures. The film brought in $355 million at the domestic box office, beating Sony's projections. Internationally, the movie earned another $572 million, bringing its global opening weekend to a total of about $930 million. The film is now the second biggest opening weekend behind 2019's Avengers Endgame. And before Facebook and Instagram, there was MySpace. The social media platform that launched more than 20 years ago is planning a comeback. The owners of the social network, brothers Tim and Chris Vanderhook, announced plans to relaunch the platform, which includes bringing back the top friends list, customizable profiles, and the ability to share music and photos. And the nation's largest bank is committing $750 billion to help tackle America's housing shortage. JP Morgan Chase says that the investment will help finance 1 million affordable housing units and help 500,000 people become homeowners as part of its American Dream initiative. By 2035, the bank also plans to provide loans to 200,000 first-time homeowners. That's business. I'm Taylor Riggs.
Coming up, Chase is next with our full 5-day forecast.
Lots of on and off showers and thunderstorms kept us pretty cloudy throughout today, but it's going to be a whole different day for tomorrow with plenty of sunshine in store for us, bringing warmer temperatures as well. Continuing that throughout the week, how warm will it get? We'll have those answers coming right up.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
So, I'm hosting book club tonight. I didn't finish the book, but thanks to Hannaford, no one will notice.
Hi, Jen. Oh, this looks good. All this food for book club?
It is. And whoever asks, this was all me.
Totally.
Everything looks so fresh. Must have taken you forever.
Not as long as this book, right?
The settings, the characters.
The ending.
Hundreds of items made fresh daily in store. If you know, you go.
Keep your boat safe, functional, and beautiful with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company. Your Hammond sales rep can help you choose the perfect lift for your boat. Shoremaster's exclusive Whisper winch offers the industry's smoothest and quietest operation. Add speed and convenience with a Shoremaster lift motor. And Shoremaster's modular Infinity design makes it easy to upgrade with accessories when you're ready. Take your boating experience to the next level with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company.
Troy Jackson bragged about being one of Graham Plattner's earliest supporters. When the news of Plattner's Nazi tattoo came out, Jackson stood with Plattner. When Plattner blamed women for getting raped because they get drunk, Jackson stood by Plattner. And when the media reported Plattner was violent toward women, Jackson stood again with Plattner.
I want to say thank you very much to Troy.
Don't be fooled by Troy Jackson. He's another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
The stars of IndyCar look to chase down Alex Palou in Portland.
Palou will take the victory!
Sunday at 4 Eastern on Fox. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
Thank you very much. Tonight's main weather is brought to you by Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Ride smart, ride safe, enjoy the weekend, and enjoy the road with Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers, Booth Bay Harbor. All right, as we saw for those temperatures out there today, a bit cooler than the past few days, thanks to that low pressure system right on top of us, bringing plenty of cloud coverage, on and off showers and thunderstorms throughout the day. It's coming to an end tonight. We will warm up tomorrow, but some areas held in the 60s for today. Machias at 69 degrees, but over to the southwest, Freiburg got to hit 81 degrees for you out there this afternoon. For tonight, a lot of us falling down into the low to mid 60s after the passage of that cold front. Some wind still out there for tonight, keeping us out of the 50s. Some areas may fall to that, though, a little bit further off to the west. For tomorrow, we're looking at mid 80s back here in Bangor. You can see low 80s further north. A few areas may hold in the upper 70s, but more of those mid 80s will continue into the southwestern portion of the state as well. So average highs this time of year right around 81 degrees, right? Well, we're going to be back above average for tomorrow and staying that way with some extreme heat here. For Thursday and the Friday, we're looking at low 90s. A bit of a cool down Saturday, still above average, mid 80s. We'll be back close to 90 Sunday before we're back near average heading the next week on Monday. Those temperatures right around the low 80s then. So there will be some extreme humidity coming in with the extreme heat as well. Now that we got this cold front passing through the area, the next few nights we'll have some cool ones out there with dew points back in the 50s, but they will climb Thursday and the Friday into Saturday. Dew points can get back close to 70, so some extreme humidity that'll be used up by showers and thunderstorms going into the weekend as well. So out there for tonight, the winds will still be a bit breezy at times, more so to the north than you are here in Bangor. We'll get some breezy winds again throughout the afternoon, right around 25 to maybe 30 miles per hour in some spots. The less wind as you go down to the southwest because you're getting further away from the center of the low. The center of the low will be passing off to the northeast out of the northern tier of the state for tomorrow afternoon. So winds will really lighten up tomorrow night, and they'll stay light going into your Wednesday, and that's when we're expecting upper 80s and low 90s to make their way into the state. So our cold front is passing through tonight. That means much of the weather is going to be over with. There's still a few lingering showers up north throughout the night, but here's 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Plenty of sunshine all across the state except for Prescott. A few lingering clouds out there, but that'll get out of here throughout the afternoon as well. So a lot of us seeing sunshine walking into your Tuesday with mid 80s back. It's going to feel like summer again after a cool down for today. Here's Wednesday. A few clouds may increase towards the southwestern coastline. Otherwise, plenty more sunshine, keeping us warm in those upper 80s and low 90s. So for tonight, the passage of that cold front is going through, but still low 60s out there thanks to winds still gusting near 15 to 30 miles per hour. Some showers early on, especially further north you go, but otherwise the clouds will decrease throughout the rest of the night, leading to mostly sunny skies for tomorrow. Still a bit windy out there with wind gusts near 30 miles per hour, especially further north from the west, but still highs look to reach near 85 degrees here in Bangor for tomorrow. So taking a look at your extended forecast, we continue to crank up the heat into Wednesday, upper 80s then, low 90s Thursday with sunshine. We keep the low 90s going into your Friday, but we can cool off in the afternoon with a chance for showers and thunderstorms. That looks to continue into your weekend on Saturday, holding highs in the mid 80s.
Thank you for that, Chase. Indoor interactive entertainment helps customers beat the increasing temperatures in Arizona. Fox Nicole Kerson has the story.
We bring people to zombie apocalypses. We bring people to the forward-thinking world of a alien invasion.
Full immersion. That's the goal of Sandbox VR in Gilbert, a company hoping people want to step outside of their normal routine and experience another reality, even just for a little bit of time. That's also a focus over at the Escape game, also in Gilbert.
We have like live movie sets here that you're going to be working through. There's a lot of different interactive parts to all our games, and so our goal here is to give you the best experience possible for 60 minutes.
You can choose from several different escape rooms, including a submarine adventure, a museum heist, and a murder mystery set in an Italian restaurant.
This one is a little bit different. It's the whodunit. Completely, it's not about just escaping. It's also about figuring out who committed the murder.
In the midst of an Arizona summer, both of these places provide indoor options for a night of fun with family and friends. And at Sandbox VR, they even have a special summer deal.
When it's 115 outside, you get 15% off. When it's 130, you get 30% off. Every 5 degrees hotter, 5% more off.
Perhaps the only time you'd root for higher temperatures, right? In Gilbert, Nicole Kersine, Fox 10 News.
Looks pretty cool, but a little too close to Ready Player One for my liking. Sports is next with Jack Webb.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Your call
is important to us.
You've heard this before, too many times. Tired of being customer 45978? Yeah, we would be too. Speed means fast uploads, no lag, and zero buffering. But it also means calling you back, showing up on time, and treating you like a person, not a problem. So whether you're working, streaming, gaming, or all three, it is time to make the switch to a provider that actually tries. Go NetSpeed. Service isn't dead. It just moved local.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
We're ready for baseball, and off we go.
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
Hey, it's me. I'm up here now. It's getting a little awkward. We should probably just get to sports, right? The Boston Red Sox were the story of Monday for their play on the field and moves made at the deadline, but we'll start on the diamond. The Sox completed a sweep of the Los Angeles Dodgers with an 8-4 win on Sunday Night Baseball in front of the entire country as they continue this miraculous run of winning. They've won 9 of their last 10 series with sweeps over the Yankees, the White Sox, and the Rays in that span. Now the Dodgers, and they've stormed into the month of August in the best possible way. They've given their front office enough of a reason to make another move before Monday's deadline of 6 p.m., and that's exactly what they went and did. The Sox acquiring all-star catcher Adley Rutschman from the Baltimore Orioles along with Jake Rogers in exchange for Red Sox catcher Carlos Narvaez and 3 major minor league prospects, including Sea Dogs all-star pitcher Anthony Eisen. And 28-year-old Rutschman is a former first overall pick. He's battled through injuries this season, but is still hitting .251 with 8 home runs. He's a switch-hitting catcher who fills a major void and will give the Red Sox offense an added boost when he returns from injury. Rutschman is still on the 10-day injured list, and before you say the prospects they gave up are too valuable, just listen to Maine's own Tom Caron.
Can we also just pump the brakes, as you like to say, and stop on how much they gave up? As you said, forget about who you gave up. This is what the Red Sox used to do.
It's the cost of doing business.
But they haven't been like this in a while, right? You haven't seen them. And you could say, it was Connolly Early too much to give up for Curtis Meade. Maybe, but I'd rather have a team that is in the hunt and is willing to give up trade capital, prospect capital, to get a guy that puts them over the edge. That means they're trying to win now. I've had enough of prospect rankings. I want parades.
I love it.
And honestly, TC is correct. It takes great minor league players to make for great major league players when you're making a trade. That's just the reality of the situation. The Sox also acquired Eli White from the Atlanta Braves, a 32-year-old speedster outfielder, adds depth to that unit. And they've also dealt Marcelo Meyer to the San Francisco Giants. Meyer was once thought to be the future shortstop for years to come in Boston, but now at just 23 years old, he is a San Francisco Giant. Many will wonder where he went wrong, and that will be discussed. But in return, the Red Sox received left-handed pitcher Eric Miller. The 28-year-old holds a 2.76 ERA this season, over 32 2/3 innings. The 6'5" monster adds to the Sox' already strong pitching staff. Expect him in a late-inning role. He truly is a beast. I'm excited to see him in a Red Sox uniform. We'll swing it over to the Patriots now quickly. They practiced inside on Monday, and A.J. Brown dislocated his thumb, but he toughed it out and stayed in practice. Here he was on the NFL Network after the training session.
It was tough. I tried to get back into that flow state zone really quickly because obviously, you're going through a little quick some pain, because obviously the game is what it is, and you're going to get bumps and bruises, and you got to keep going. I know it's practice, but I'm not coming out of practice thumb out of place. You keep going. You keep going.
No, you go like this one.
No.
I mean, you're saying thumb out of place, no big. Like that's a big thing. But you popped it right back in. Have you had that happen to you before?
Yeah, I dislocated the same thumb actually in college. I played the rest of the season. I did it probably like week 4 against Arkansas, and I played the rest of the season, and I came out that year.
So you just pop it right back in, you finish. Do you have to now go get treatment or anything? Or is
yeah,
it just...
I'm going to do a little treatment on it, but, obviously, stem and ice, is what they say.
Ice and stim is pretty funny. They used to tell you that every time you went into the training room for an injury, it seemed like. For now, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
There's a lot to love about a Subaru. Find yours at Quirk in Bangor. Built on safety and reliability, lease Crosstrek Premium for $329 per month. Or lease Forester Wilderness for $397 a month. It's a Subaru summer. Find it at Quirk.
Make your outdoor living space dreams come true with a little help from Granville Stone and Hearth. Granville can help you go from this to this. Outdoor fireplaces, custom outdoor kitchens, gorgeous stone patios, and more. You bring the dreams, we'll supply the materials to make it all real. Create your stunning outdoor oasis with help from the experts at Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
For the best selection in classic and contemporary furnishings, stop by Richard Parks Furniture on High Street in Ellsworth. Handcrafted New England-made bedrooms and dining rooms, imported Scandinavian recliners and upholstery, more than 40 lines of furniture for the home and patio. Richard Parks Furniture is your #1 stop for quality, functionality, and well-designed furniture at affordable prices. Richard Parks Furniture.
Discover Richard Parks.
132 High Street in Ellsworth.
Discover Richard.
Mainers work hard. Our leaders should too. Like Senator Susan Collins, who just cast her 10,000th vote.
The first senator in U.S. history to reach that mark without ever missing a vote.
Collins worked with Democrats to keep the Gulf of Maine open for our fishermen, kept our shipbuilders on the job with new funding, and Collins expanded health care for rural Mainers. No drama, just hard work and results. Call. Ask Senator Collins to keep working hard for Mainers.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
It's a hot leasing summer at Quirk Hyundai. Lease a 2026 Hyundai Tucson SE just $259 a month, or Elantra Hybrid for only $229 a month. Premium vibes, bold lines, and America's best warranty. Your Hyundai is waiting. Find it at Quirk.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Back to school season for millions of kids across the country, and many of them we bring laptops and tablets into class as they start the fall semester. But they'll still want to pack that #2 pencil and a ballpoint pen. Fox News correspondent Caroline Elliott has more.
In today's always online world, putting pen to paper can sometimes feel like a lost art, but research shows it's an essential skill for developing young minds.
If you want to learn something deeply as well as quickly, you need to handwrite.
And the earlier, the better. Studies show kids who write out their ABCs do a better job of recognizing and understanding letters, and as a result, they develop a broader and more intricate vocabulary.
It's the physical act of writing that means you're doing real cognitive work for like the encoding, retention, and comprehension of new information.
Scientists believe the complexity of the process helps burn it into our brain. Drawing out letters helps us remember them as opposed to just hitting keystrokes on a computer or tablet.
The way you slant your words or you curl your Y's, loop your L's, that sense memory of physically writing it down means you're more likely to remember and recall it.
And while typing out notes during a lecture is almost always faster than writing them, that's not always an advantage.
Handwriting's speed limit is actually its superpower. It forces you to consider what's important to me,
What do I need to capture? How would I phrase this or paraphrase it for me to understand later?
But as students get older and their studies more complex, digital advances can still provide some great perks.
The ability to search, to reorganize, to pair your notes with audio. You can't do any of that with paper.
So it's less about preferring pen over keyboard and more about knowing when to use each one. Experts say the most well-rounded students are the ones who've learned to master both. In New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
Yesterday was a great day to run across some crates. The 79th annual Maine Lobster Festival wrapped up with its annual International Great Crate Race. And if you didn't catch our live broadcast of the event that was on Fox 22, let's get to the results. In the super class, it was Owen Dakin from Wyndham finishing with 31 crates. In the medium class, it was Blake Monroe from Owl's Head with 78 crates. In the light class, it was a Maeve Poland from Crushing with 279 crates. And in the feather class from Rockland, it was Maverick Asplund crossing with a total of 6,050 crates. Congratulations to him and everyone who participated in the annual crate race. Police officers never know what the day will bring. That was certainly the case in Winslow Sunday when they discovered some unexpected guests in the department's dumpster. 4 raccoons had become trapped after dropping by in search of a quick meal. The young bandits were hot and clearly upset about their predicament. Luckily for them, officers used a board to slide the dumpster door open so they could return to the wild. Just another day on the job for the folks at Winslow PD. Sending or receiving a greeting card has become almost a lost art nowadays, but one family in Augusta is hoping to change that, one piece of mail at a time. Our Jody Hersey explains.
Now the eyes are so important that you have to remember to put a dot of light in the eyes.
In her home studio in Augusta, Leanne Morin uses watercolors to bring a sparrow to life.
Because it's such a beautiful bird.
For as long as she can remember, this mom of 3 has always wanted a greeting card company.
The reason I wanted to do greeting cards is really as a way for people to connect with each other, and whether it's funny or heartfelt, it's just such an important thing, I think, especially as busy as everybody is.
So in 2016, Leanne created Painted Turtle Illustrations, a t-shirt and greeting card business. Leanne did all the artwork, and her daughter Kate handled the online marketing.
The response was great right away. People really connected with the designs and really loved them.
When Kate stepped away from the business to become a stay-at-home mom, her sister Margaret stepped in. The company dropped the t-shirt line and was renamed Firefly Sky Design.
I'm glad I've evolved back to just the greeting cards.
She's had the opportunity now for the last 10 years to really put her artwork out there and have people enjoy it.
Leanne says Mother Nature offers her an endless supply of inspiration, and having the opportunity to work alongside her daughters has been just as rewarding. In Augusta, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
If you would like to check out Leanne Morin's greeting cards, you can find all her designs at fireflyskydesign.com. That's all for tonight. We hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for sticking with me. See you back here at 10 tomorrow night.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC 7, right now for ABC 7 News at 11.
Hey everyone, Emerald Lagasse here, and I'm so excited to tell you about my biggest air fryer yet.
Introducing Emerald Lagasse's Dual Zone Air Fryer Oven with dual-sided cooking chambers. Now you can cook 2 different foods 2 different ways that finish at the same time. No more back-to-back cooking. Now main dish and sides finish at the
You need 5 points. They need a trainer on the movie set if they use what dangerous animal? You said elephant. Survey said whoa. Lion. Lion was the #1 answer. survey said
Tiffany Haddish guest hosts Jimmy Kimmel Live with Sarah Silverman and Liza Colon-Zayas tonight.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
Flames destroyed a camper earlier